All right, everybody, in this video, I'm going to break down how I'm able to manage my real estate wholesale business a few hours a day. And it's really a slim team. You don't need a huge team with AI and the current systems that we have in place. So I'm going to break down on a whiteboard kind of what that looks like. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Joel Ponte, and I help solo real estate wholesale investors start and scale with guaranteed inbound leads and AI follow-up systems. Now in this video, I'm looking to just add value. Hopefully you can take something from this video and implement it in your own business. I only got into this business because of these three right here. Beautiful wife and girls. And we didn't really get into this business to be tied to it or have to work like slaves on it or do cold calling or honestly managing big teams. I mean, that's kind of a pain in the butt. If you want to go really big, that's on you, but you don't really have to go really big just to make good margins. And so it all starts with lead flow. It all starts with high intent lead flow. I've tried direct mail. I actually owned a franchise, the biggest franchise in the US around home buying. And as an ad council member, we would look into the budgets and the expenses and the ROI. We would look into SEO, we would look into pay-per-click, we would look into direct mail. And really my best deals were always inbound leads. And you would think, okay, well, if they're inbound leads, it's always going to be profitable. But that's not the case, because even if you run your own pay-per-click, even if you run your own YouTube ads, which we're doing with ourselves and for our members, some campaigns do fail. They need to be tweaked, they need to be optimized, they take time to mature. And so there's really no guarantee that you'll get an ROI on that. So typically what I'd like to always do is suggest go through a guaranteed inbound source. And most of them are paper lead providers or ad agencies that we use that have some sort of guarantee where you're not having to be out of pocket for leads that were just lots, or they were listed, or they didn't even know, or they were spam. And so that's a risk when you're not running through a guaranteed inbound lead method. Then the other piece is running your own campaigns, right? Running your own campaigns. And so that takes knowledge, that takes time, that takes optimization, that takes creative, right? The videos that you see, the copywriting, all these elements. And so in this day and age where cold calling, texting is so regulated, Texas just passed a regulation around that, it doesn't quite make sense to the risk and the time. Plus you're depending on like virtual assistants to actually get all this done. And so that's the first thing, is your lead source. Like that is the foundation of everything. If you're not talking with ready, willing, and able sellers, they may say, I like to sell, and there's a difference between I want to sell. The other piece that has come in really kind of in my face here as Texas cools down is what market are you actually working in? And the beauty about virtual is that you're not stuck in a certain market. I have markets that I worked in or worked on for years, and I started in the Houston area. And right now they're taking a big hit. I mean, we had a lot of California coastal type of buyers that in the pandemic, they paid $40,000, $50,000 over list price in a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home. And now we're seeing that those houses, there's just like an oversupply. So as I see that, I'm pivoting. I'm pivoting to other markets because I'm virtual. My entire team is virtual. And so that is a huge advantage of being virtual, because you're not tied. You're not, your feet are not concrete to that one market. Is there an advantage to negotiating in person versus over the phone? I'll tell you, there's pros and cons. I've done both. Obviously, when you're negotiating in person, you get to touch, feel, see the property. There's much less contract fall through. You're able to build a lot more rapport and kind of see things how they are versus being lied to. Sellers lie all the time in terms of condition over the phone. But there's also the lost efficiency. Like I literally had appointments in person where I was driving to, and that person got contracted by a virtual wholesale over the phone. And I've done that where, they're like, oh, I'm going to have 6 people here over the weekend. And I've had instances where the seller says, hey, I'm just going to have 6 people over the weekend. And we're able to come to terms over the phone. So we're able to lock that deal up. To be honest with you, I mean, if you want to stay local, there is definitely some advantages, but just keep in mind of the disadvantages, like being able to, like, speed to lead is still king, right? And so that's why, we focus on guaranteed inbound leads and AI, voice assistants, and through text messages as well, so that those leads are just not left behind or not left unresponded. And we're constantly grabbing that attention, because once they come through your pipeline, you want to make sure that you're nurturing and you're qualifying and you're keeping their attention. And then that leads us to booked appointments. So having motivated sellers, having an appointment, waking up to that. On that particular case, what I've noticed is there's no better thing than just calling them and having that conversation as early as possible, because if not, they're going to talk with somebody else. So just because you have, like, quote unquote booked appointments, that doesn't mean that they're going to wait for you. Okay. And of course, we focus on generating those appointments through our system, because it is yet another layer. It is yet another signal of them having enough motivation, right, to sell, that they're actually setting a time in their calendar. Does that mean that they're actually going to show up at that time and pick up? Not really. I mean, we're dealing with distressed real estate. They don't have their life together for the most part. So, just thought I'd mention that. And then in terms of dispositions, right, the old model was always using wholesale cash buyers that are looking to buy, fix and flip. And that could still work, and it still works for like heavy rehab type of houses. Like, there's no ifs and buts about it. But if you're not listing the properties with a real estate agent, getting the permission to do so, getting them on the MLS, you are losing so much exposure, because your best buyer, especially in distressed real estate, is somebody that is looking to buy as is, doesn't mind the as is for, let's say, their daughter or their cousin, whatever, that wants to live in the same neighborhood. At the same time, always getting permission and disclosing to the seller. By getting more exposure, we're able to not overwhelm them with the process of the listing and having to fix things, but we're able to pay them a little bit more, right? And so, with that said, getting exposure to your deals to the MLS benefits you, benefits the seller, benefits realtors, because they get more inventory to look at for the buyer. So it's really a win-win-win all around. I really don't understand the drama or the nuances from different people. And hey, to everybody, to each its own, right? So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to make you an offer, right? Or a few questions, I should say. If you're not waking up to motivated seller appointments in your calendar, there's something that needs to be fixed. Either your lead source or your nurture intake follow-up system. Keep in mind, all of which I mentioned, all can be automated besides the negotiation, to be honest with you. So like, you could literally set up your availability for like 4 hours a day in your calendar and just pack those 4 hours and just know which leads actually make sense to call in those 4 hours. Think about that. You're not having to call to generate the lead. You're not having to hire a VA or train a VA or manage a VA to nurture, intake, and book that lead. You're not having to like constantly follow up. I mean, is follow up good? Sure. But all this can be automated for less than the cost of a VA. So if you're interested in actually plugging and deploying our system where we're able to stay lean and mean and scale real estate wholesale deals in our business at our pipeline, go ahead and check the resources below in the link, and I'll see you on the other side. God bless.